Make sure the community is prepared and protected against COVID-19. I'm Emily Matson, and I'll tell you what they're doing to educate the public.
The return of winter weather, along with very strong winds, a real challenge for truckers on interstate highways. I'm Paul Wagner. We'll have that story coming up.
And what we can expect from the wicked winter weather. We have the very latest from the First Warning Weather Team.
With coverage you can count on, this is Erie News Now at 5.
Good evening, I'm Amanda Post.
And I'm Mike Ruzzi. Thanks for choosing Erie News Now at 5. And we begin tonight with weather coverage you can count on.
The First Warning Weather Team has been forecasting a major snow event for the last several days, and it's now making its way all across the region. We do have live team coverage that you can count on spread across our region tonight. From erosion to road conditions, we have you covered this evening. And we begin with John Stalen. John, what's the latest?
Well, we still have snow showers moving across the area, not as intense as they were earlier, but they will pick up once again across the area. And as we told you last night, the snow, yeah, it was the wind that is really going to cause a lot of problems and cause some drifting and the blowing snow as well. And we're seeing it widespread across the area right now. And right now, we say 3 on the Weather Impact Index for you with those strong gusty winds and for blowing snow. And now we take a look at the winds outside with Joe Curtis, and those winds are also another factor in that 3 Weather Impact Index. Joe?
John, these winds are definitely kicking up. I've been here since early this morning, and it was quite windy then. It feels like it's getting even more windy now. And when you're outside for long periods of time, remember, just like in the summer, you can get sunburn. You can also get windburn, as we're looking at these wind gusts at about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Right now, 37-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Erie. Still looking at the 40s potentially across the rest of the area. That's to cover all of that exposed skin that you can possibly cover. And also, remember, in this cold weather, your skin gets really dry, so you might need to use that extra lotion as well. We'll give that full First Warning weather outlook coming up in just a couple of minutes, so don't change your channel. Right now, we'll send it back inside to the news desk.
All right, thanks, Joe. Our winter blast is making driving difficult or even dangerous at times today along Interstate 90.
And the big problem, strong winds combined with that lake effect snow. Our coverage of the winter blast continues with senior reporter Paul Wagner. He joins us live now with the latest from the Travel Center in Harbor Creek after talking with truckers coping with the return of the winter weather. Paul.
On this very, very windy night here in Harbor Creek, a lot of truckers are getting off Interstate 90 a lot earlier than usual and coming into the Travel Centers of America for a little bit of rest and to fuel up. They're getting a little rest and getting some fuel after driving in some really, really rough conditions.
All right, Paul, meantime, across the state line, some of the hardest hit areas are western New York communities like Mayville.
Our Ethan Kibbe has been there since last night. He's joining us now from Mayville, New York with a closer look. Hi, Ethan.
Mike and Amanda, good evening once again from Mayville. Quite a difference from when we last spoke at 11 o'clock last night. We're here at the Department of Public Works, and this has kind of been the command center all day for road crews here in the village, trying to keep the roads clean. Now, I'm going to step out of the shot here so Kyle can show you. There's trucks all down through here, and the reason that those trucks aren't out on the roads right at the moment is because they're staggering shifts here. That way, every time one worker comes back and needs a quick break, another one can head right out, and they can make sure that these roads stay as clean as they possibly can make them. Let's head over to the road. Now, I want to show you how things look right now because you'll understand why this bitter cold that we're going through is such a problem. You see, the issue out here is that cold because road salt isn't terribly effective as cold as it is right now. And so if you look at the road here, you'll notice that it's fairly brown, fairly dirty. The reason for that being that they're putting down a lot of that anti-skid sand. That's basically their best bet, according to the superintendent here. He says that what they have to do is just put down a lot of that sand and then just hope that the drivers have enough traction until plows come back through, clear all the old sand off, and put some fresh anti-skid back down. Now, I want to use our thermometer here as Kyle, our photographer, helps me out with the assist. You can see that we're hovering right around 20 degrees right now. That's cold, and it's a real problem here. We're cold just standing out here. Now, imagine, though, not having a place to stay in this sort of weather. Not only is the temperature around 20, with the wind chill, it is far, far colder than that. So there is a code blue in the county, and we'll tell you what that means and how the county is trying to help people who have no place to stay coming up at 5:30. For now, though, Ethan Kibbe, Erie News Now.
All right, thanks, Ethan. Erie News Now is health coverage you can count on and the spread of the ongoing COVID-19 virus.
This afternoon, Erie County leaders addressed the virus, also known as coronavirus, in a news conference today. Emily Matson was there. She's joining us now with the latest on that. Emily?
So county emergency management and health officials say it is certainly not a time to panic, but it is time to be prepared and make sure you're protected.
There are no known cases of COVID-19 reported in Erie County.
County Executive Kathy Dahlkamper says there are also no known cases in surrounding counties or even Pennsylvania. That's good news, but not a reason to not take precautions against COVID-19. The CDC says an outbreak is inevitable, as it's not a matter of if, but when a coronavirus outbreak hits the U.S.
And we want to update you on the very latest with COVID-19 coronavirus. There are 3 new confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Erie County. 39 people have recovered from the virus, and there are 29 active cases. The Pennsylvania Department of Health has reported 2 new cases in Crawford County. Meantime, the department has adjusted Warren County's count, which is now at 1 total case. Statewide, there have been more than 1,300 new cases reported, bringing the statewide total to more than 37,000 cases. And for the first time today, Erie County officials discussed the governor's new plan that could see our area start to lift restrictions in 2 weeks. Our Ethan Kibbe joins us now from our remote newsroom with the details on that plan and a look at today's new cases. Ethan.
Mike, good evening. For those who missed our earlier reports, those 3 new cases are 2 teenagers and 1 person in their 30s. All 3 have known ties to known positive cases. But each day we're learning more and more about the possibility of reopening our economy. Last night, Governor Wolf said that we might see a loosening of restrictions here in the northwest part of the state on May 8th. Mike, for now, it's just a waiting game to see if we really will be able to partially reopen on May 8th. And it's important to note that even if we do, if we see another surge in cases when that happens, it would likely trigger another shutdown. Ethan Kibbe, Erie News Now.
All right, thanks, Ethan. And manufacturing companies right here in Erie have stepped up to provide protective gear to healthcare workers and first responders. Erie companies have shipped more than 50,000 face shields to hospitals and workers in 3 states. Right now, those companies are producing 5,000 face shields every day. That production is expected to double with a new mold funded by the Erie County Gaming Revenue Authority. The face shield was designed by a Penn State Barron researcher, and some masks have been delivered to Cleveland Clinic and communities in Pennsylvania and Western New York. So Pennsylvania saw another increase of more than 1,000 COVID-19 cases today, bringing that statewide total to more than 37,000. State Health Secretary Dr. Rachel Levine is addressing the state's reporting of probable cases. Our Capitol reporter Cody Carlson joins us live from his home in Harrisburg with the latest. Cody.
That's right, Mike. Today, the State Health Department says there are 201 fewer reported COVID-19 related deaths compared to yesterday. Here's why.
That reflects that the probable deaths have been removed from the count because of further investigation.
As of midnight, there are 1,394 confirmed COVID-19 related deaths and 27 probable deaths. There are also 37,053 total COVID-19 cases. 388 of those are considered probable.
And Governor Tom Wolf says Erie County is not guaranteed a designation to begin reopening its economy on May 8th. Wolf made that statement during a conference call with reporters this morning. And our John Last was one of those reporters on the call. And John, you talked specifically about Erie County during your question to the governor, right?
Well, Mike, I wanted to find out for sure if Erie would be one of the counties that can begin to reopen. Now, yesterday, the governor introduced his 3-phase plan for reopening the state economy. Now, currently, every county in the state is in the red phase with stay-at-home orders. But on May 8th, the governor plans to open counties in northwestern and north central Pennsylvania with a yellow phase. In that, stay-at-home orders would be lifted and retail stores would be open. The green phase has all restrictions lifted. Now, Erie County currently meets the acceptable ratio of COVID cases per 14-day period to qualify for a yellow designation on May 8th. But the governor says each county will be examined on a case-to-case basis. During today's conference call with reporters, I gave the possible scenario of the stores at the Mill Creek Mall, shopping plazas, and downtown Erie being allowed to open on May 8th. I asked the governor if he believes those stores being open would attract people from areas where the coronavirus remains at high numbers, places such as Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo. Wolf responded by saying the yellow phase is not a one-size-fits-all designation. Many factors will be taken into account before any county in northwest Pennsylvania is designated yellow. He says Erie County may have to wait, or it could reopen on May 8th and have its yellow designation taken away if COVID-19 numbers get worse.
So the decisions as to whether one place is going to be open, one county or another is going to be open, at this point, those decisions haven't been made. When they are made, they're going to be made in as good a fashion and as evidence-based fashion as we can, and we'll take into account things like the things you just mentioned.
Now, the governor said wearing a mask is not a law like the one that says you have to wear a seatbelt. He says individual stores have the responsibility to decide whether to let anyone inside without a mask. John Last, Erie News Now.
All right, thanks, John. Resurfacing work on Interstate 86 is expected to start back up next week. Now, the project is scheduled to begin Monday, and it includes bridge, drainage, and ramp work in Greenfield Township near Interstate 90. No detours are expected with the project, but there could be lane restrictions and changes in traffic patterns. The entire project to rehabilitate the stretch is being paid with federal funds. The scheduled June 2nd primary election will be a step back in time for most voters in Crawford County. They'll be casting their votes on paper ballots rather than using machines because of the coronavirus pandemic. Senior reporter Paul Wagner was in Meadville today to learn more about the change and get reaction from voters. Paul.
Mike, the election board in Crawford County had heard concerns from voters and poll workers. They knew the machines could have been wiped off with a disinfectant after every voter on election day, but they decided to go one step further. So most machines will remain in the warehouse. Voters will be going back using paper ballots.
With coverage you can count on, this is Erie News Now at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mike Ruzzi.
And I'm Eva Mastromatteo. Thanks for being here with us on Erie News Now at 5.
Breaking tonight, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf has announced new coronavirus restrictions.
Erie News Now was first to report that these new restrictions will go into effect at midnight. The governor says these new restrictions are based on new data at the state level.
And we have live team coverage tonight that you can count on. Ethan Kibbe spoke with Erie County Executive Kathy Dahlkamper. Isaac Pedcast traveled to Crawford County, which saw a serious spike in newly reported cases today.
We, though, begin with Cody Carlson in Harrisburg. And Cody, you were there at the governor's news conference that wrapped up a short while ago. It's mainly going to impact these restrictions, Pennsylvania bars and restaurants. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Eva, and good evening, everybody. These are statewide orders, and like you said earlier, they're taking effect at 12:01 tonight. Now, under this latest mitigation order, bars and restaurants are going to be limited to serve customers at a 25% capacity. Now, that's currently instead of the 50% capacity. Now, customers must also purchase food if they're going to be purchasing alcohol as well. Bars that don't offer food must stop selling alcohol for on-premise consumption. Essentially, bars that don't offer any food are going to close because of this latest order. Now, bar service will also stop. Food and drink can only be served at tables or booths. Outdoor seating and food and drink takeout are still allowed, however. Nightclubs and dance clubs, those will close as well. Additionally, indoor events and gatherings will be restricted to just 25 people. Outside events remain at 250. Governor Wolf says he's using information gathered about the virus over the past few months to create these new restrictions.
We know that the virus appears to be primarily airborne, so we're placing more limits on indoor activities. We know that the virus spreads rapidly in crowds, so we're limiting crowd sizes in situations where people are likely to gather close together, such as bars.
Now, this announcement comes as the state health department reports nearly 1,000 new cases today. Again, these latest restrictions go into effect at 12:01 tonight. Live in Harrisburg, Cody Carlson, Erie News Now.
All right, Cody, thanks so much. But right now we have a look at the latest coronavirus numbers, not only in Pennsylvania, but across our region. There were 7 new cases of the virus reported in Erie County today. In Crawford County, 21 new cases. And we're taking a closer look at those Crawford cases in just a minute. But Warren County reporting 1 new case today, Chautauqua County 3, and 1 additional death. In Ashtabula County, Ohio, 1 new case reported today as well.
Meantime, Erie County reported 7 additional cases today.
And in her news conference, or daily news conference, Erie County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper applauding efforts today to stop the spread of COVID-19 at the state level. Our coverage continues with our Ethan Kibbe, who was on the county executive's call today. And Ethan, you're in our newsroom now. What was the latest from that call?
Mike and Eva, good evening. As usual, a busy day in Harrisburg makes for a busy day here in Erie County. And even though our numbers remain relatively stable here when it comes to new cases of COVID-19, businesses here will still have to adapt to those new statewide regulations. County executives and county leaders saying that the new measures will further damage the already suffering tourism and other businesses like hospitality here in our region that our area depends on every year for the bulk of our economy. Despite that, they say they're glad for this new statewide approach because a county-by-county patchwork of rules just wouldn't get the job done.
The one thing I do like about this is consistency across the Commonwealth. I think when we have varying degrees of what can be open and what cannot and what can happen across the Commonwealth, it gets very confusing for our residents.
Even though those businesses are taking a hit because of this new regulation, there might be some good news for business owners and for workers at those businesses. I'll have those details coming up for you tonight on Erie News Now at 6. Until then, live in the newsroom, Ethan Kibbe, Erie News Now.
All right, Ethan, thanks. Meanwhile, Crawford County, as we mentioned, saw its biggest one-day jump in cases with 21 new cases reported today.
But local leaders believe the majority of those are coming from one location. Our Isaac Pedcash spoke with county commissioners today and joins us now in the studio. So, Isaac, what led to this spike in all those cases?
Well, Mike, Eva, as Ethan was saying, stable in Erie County, stable in Crawford County, it is not. Crawford County Commissioner Eric Henry tells me the climb today is due to a number of reported cases at a Conneautville elder care home. Now, the name of the facility is called Rolling Fields, and it houses elderly community members in Crawford County. Now, county commissioners say the home has already reached out to ask for additional personal protective equipment, which the county is currently working on. Now, the spike in cases today brings Crawford County as a whole up to 101 total since the pandemic began. Today's daily total 3 times more than Erie County's count of 7 positive cases. Now, county commissioners are wary that COVID-19 totals could increase in the coming days as we near 2 weeks following the July 4th weekend. What they don't want is for the county to have to restrict business again. They say today's numbers could provide a wake-up call.
We all are committed to making sure we can continue to move forward and get our economy still running, of course, but we want to ensure people understand that we don't want to go backward with numbers, and those cases are kind of scary to all of us, I think so.
Now, Crawford County leaders also told me they fear some businesses aren't following the current mask mandates. And coming up at 5:30, I'll tell you whether or not they believe this could lead to an even bigger spike in cases in the coming days. Isaac Pedcash, Erie News Now.
All right, thanks, Isaac. College sports will not take place for the remainder of the 2020 year in the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference.
Another big hit during this pandemic. Erie News Now was the first in the state to bring you the information. So where do the plans go from here as they prepare to try and move fall sports into the spring? Our John Leidick was the only local TV reporter to sit down with the commissioner of the conference.
So, John, what does the outlook look for sports in the months ahead?
Well, Mike and Eva, take a good look as these iron fences and gates are locked, and they'll stay that way for a long time here behind me. But the decision was announced this morning at 9 a.m. However, it had been in the works for a couple of weeks, even months, a process to decide what to do this fall. Now, the PSAC Board of Directors intends to play fall sports in the spring. While planning is already underway, there's still plenty of challenges that lie ahead as we await a return of sports. Football fields and other facilities in the PSAC conference will remain without competition till at least the turn of the new year.
I think that we didn't look as a stone unturned in the conversation.
The discussion ending in a final decision to suspend fall athletics. The conversation now shifting to how to prepare to combine both the fall and spring sports seasons.
Erie News Now is 2020 election coverage you can count on. A new poll out today shows Democrat Joe Biden leading President Trump less than 4 months before the general election.
But a majority believe there are many so-called secret Trump voters who could make a big difference on Election Day. Senior reporter Paul Wagner has been looking over the poll released by Monmouth University in New Jersey. And Paul, it certainly seems encouraging for the former vice president.
Yeah, that's right, even Mike. Of course, it's only mid-July. We have a long way to go until November, but clearly in Pennsylvania, it looks good right now for former Vice President Joe Biden. Let's take a look at these results from Monmouth University. You can see right now that among registered voters, Biden leads President Trump by 13 points, 53 to 40%. His margin even wider among independent voters. Now, let's take a look at swing voters. This includes counties, including Erie. There seems to be overall erosion of support for President Trump in these swing counties. The poll shows Biden leading Trump 54 to 35% in those counties. But in a twist, this is really interesting. The poll actually shows a slight majority. You can see Trump, a slight majority, 46 to 45%. They believe Trump would actually win the election in November.
His unemployment compensation system continues to be backlogged as the number of people in the state recently furloughed has reached 1.6 million. We have team coverage you can count on tonight. Isaac Petcash spent the day getting answers from the state. But we begin with John Last from our remote newsroom. And John, you talk with two people who say this issue is keeping them up at night. Is it really that bad?
Well, Mike, one person is someone who's been trying to get through to the state unemployment compensation office for several weeks. She's been unsuccessful and she has bills to pay. The other is a state representative whose phone won't stop ringing from people asking for help. Reporting live from the remote newsroom, John Last, Erie News Now.
And one of the many concerns Erie residents have with unemployment is the state of the pandemic unemployment assistance program. Our Isaac Petcash is here now with an update on that program. Isaac.
Yeah, Mike, thank you so much. Here we have questions specifically related to the PUA program, and here is the first. First question asked if there is a need to apply for the 13-week extension if your unemployment has run out. If you have exhausted your unemployment benefits, there is a need to apply for PUA. Benefits will be considered effective starting the first week that you were made unemployed. Now, this transitions well into the next question here from Noel, which asks when you have to file, are you approved? Well, right now there's no set date, but LNI Secretary Jerry Alexiak said yesterday that they expect to start distributing benefits by early May. Regulations mandated the department create a separate system that was designed specifically for the PUA program. And what about a helpline or a phone number for people who are looking for assistance with their PUA claim? Well, there is an email available if you are in need of assistance. That email is ucpua@pa.gov. And Susan Dickinson, the UC Benefits Policy Director, says a phone number is coming soon that will be available to call, although no specific date was announced for the release of that number.